Hello again, Taurus. It's July 2019, and this is going to be a continuation of, in a way, what we were discussing last month about the important transit of Mars here, which was opposite Saturn, in your third house, Saturn and Pluto, and the nodes in the ninth and third. This is all to do with your thinking, your mentality, and how you are able, or in some cases maybe unable, to shift your patterns of thinking at this critical time. And why it's important, I'm going to animate the chart so you can see here on the second, third, there's a huge build-up again in this area for you. You can't escape it, can you? There it is. It's a total solar eclipse right here on the 3rd of July in exactly the same place. Now the eclipses, solar and lunar eclipses, take place on this nodal axis, as you can see. The north and south nodes are involved, and so this total solar eclipse is actually a new moon eclipse here, where the moon is in conjunction with the sun in this third house. Now I've talked a lot about the new moons and how they signify big changes taking place and a new opportunity for you to shift the way you deal with your mentality, the way you deal in communications, contracts. Have a look there. Venus, your ruler, also moves into this area. Moon moves out around the 4th, but this Venus transit in here follows up on this whole shift in mentality. Now, also there, look, we've just seen another shift. Mars, which was one of the culprits in that greatly frustrating transit that many of us have seen over the last few weeks, shift into your 4th house with Mercury, which is your family affairs. But all of that against the background of this 3rd house, which is your mentality. This spills over into short journeys and the way you negotiate contracts. So the methodologies by which you've been using your communication to get your point across. And that frustrating combination of planets last month, and I dare say with Sun opposite Saturn as well, in the first few days of July, that pattern is going to continue. But fortunately with this eclipse, it releases tremendous energy. So you may well have the ability to finally break through. And you are often accused of being guilty of not being able to change that easily. Well, maybe here's your opportunity, Taurus, to prove people wrong. And that you can, in fact, make changes. I've missed a couple of little aspects there, but we are coming up to an important one here, which is number one, the conjunction of the moon to Saturn in your 9th house. I'll just hold that for a moment there, because that's telling us a lot about legal matters, education. The 3rd house is more the superficial mind, whereas this 9th house is the higher mind. So all sorts of educational pursuits, philosophy, matters that relate to spiritual discourse can come to the fore, and a more serious tone to your thinking and educational pursuits. The moon is the ruler of the 3rd house here, so it's showing us that it just keeps coming back to the key for you at this stage is the way you're using your mind, the way you are communicating, looking at new systems of communicating your ideas to those that you work with and those that you live with. That I say as well, because of this other powerful conjunction, and around the 16th you see the Mercury quickly moving up behind Mars here. Now Mars is not very welcome in the 4th house, which is your domestic sphere. You could expect some hot-headedness there, and especially here around the 18th when Moon is making that direct opposition to Mars as well from the career sector. That moves out around the 20th, 2021, here into your 11th house, where your social engagements will be on your mind. Here there's some idealism with the moon coming in contact with Neptune, but there's some lovely aspects there to the eclipse zone, which shows that you're able to test the water on friends. Of course, if they're good friends, they'll maybe look at you a little bit strangely, going, hang on, Taurus, what the hell? What's all that about? What medications are you on? Don't worry about that. dare to be different, and a little bit of shock value, no harm. And of course the shock value is there for many years to come with this presence of Uranus in your sun sign. That's now 6 degrees into your sun sign, so depending on when you were born, if you have a look here, those of you especially born in the earlier part of Taurus, April 20th to the 25th, 26th, this is going to be a very significant period for you, the eclipses, along with Uranus transiting in this part of the horoscope. Now, the third house is still strongly occupied here. And did you notice also there the retrogression of Mercury? Mercury is in your fourth house. So it's almost as if you're about to say something, about to do something, but you've gone back. The retrogression of Mercury has gone back into the third house. Fortunately, it's in conjunction with your ruling planet. And it's a financial decision that may need to be made. Again, that's why I mentioned contracts. Third house here. Mercury is still in that retrograde position, while Sun, around the 23rd, 24th, moves into the fourth house. And this is a very dominant influence. This is a strong angular disposition to the Sun. That strengthens your family ties in a big way. And there's Venus moving in there to really anchor that whole emotional concern that you have for loved ones. This also shows a beautification of your home, which a lot of Taurians are very, very adept at. And you notice here that the Mars and the Sun combination is very constructive, very physical. So we also know one thing about Taurus: they love the garden, but they're scared to get their hands dirty. So this could be a case of spending some time this month looking after construction, renovation, and that type of thing. Mercury doesn't go direct before the end of the month. It goes stationary here, as you can see, which means that it's apparently stopped its retrograde motion, and that's a very, very powerful date, 30-31, where it starts to come into a stationary position, indicating that you are now ready to move forward, and any decisions, any negotiations that had been previously embarked upon. Take a look at more at astrology.com.au, and I always invite you to have a personal reading. That is really the best thing you can do for yourself if you want to empower yourself and understand how all of this relates to the very specific time and date that you were born. Avail yourself of that. Drop me a line if you're not sure and you want to have a little bit of a surface look at what's going on in your life. I'll do my best to answer you, and I do look forward to your company next month. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.